So I researched this Lifeboat Foundation in Reno.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Well, so you're honorary member or something, like you contribute to
No,
their
no. What happened was this fellow named Howard Bloom, who I've interviewed a
yeah.
few times. Howard Bloom
uh,
is a guy who, on the one hand, is one of the smartest people you'll ever meet. On the other
yeah.
hand, a lot of people rag on him because he's pro-Israel, and he he wrote. I wouldn't say. I guess some people, his critics would call him as Islamophobe, but he's always been nice to me and one. And so he apparently joined this Lifeboat Foundation organization 4 or 5 years ago, and he
Yeah.
recommended me for it. And I was like, okay. So I said I joined it and whatnot, and I went on. I said, well, what are you people going to do? All it was a bunch of people with masters and PhD degrees, and a few people who'd even won Nobel prizes or the equivalent prizes from other countries, and all they're doing is gossiping. And what they don't do it. They get this money and whatnot. They have this really. I mean, people talk about Cosmoetica looking outdated. A
Yeah.
website that looks as outdated or more so than my website. They don't do a damn. And I remember 25 years
Yeah.
ago, a cousin of mine. I had a cousin, a natural cousin from my natural family. She was a member of Mensa, and Mensa is the high IQ society
Yeah.
of the
Oh
world.
yeah. Yeah.
And she wanted
Yeah.
me to join Mensa. Now, I had taken an IQ test when I was a kid, and I remember that, and I think I might have, did I take one then? But I remember there were a lot of questions I just objected to them, and I only landed in like the 93rd or 94th percentile. You have to be in the 98th percentile. But I went to one of their meetings, and these people were fucked up. There were these nerd guys playing chess, arguing who was the greatest General Leo Grant.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was this tall, attractive blonde woman. I was wearing a turtleneck shirt at the time. I went in there. She comes up to me and she starts rubbing my chest, and I'm like, okay. And she said, "I like your chest. I like your pectorals." Okay. And it was just a bizarre thing. This Lifeboat Association, just like the Mensa group, shows that you can be intelligent, and this is one of the problems with life. You can have people who are intelligent, but they have a laser thin intelligence. This is when people talk to me about Albert Einstein being such a great intellect. Albert Einstein was a great mathematician and physicist, but read Albert Einstein's writings on anything other than math or physics. He's not that bright. He doesn't understand humans. He doesn't understand human society. He has no clue about the waves of history. Albert Einstein is just another guy outside of his field of specialty. This is why I hate the term genius. I hate that. You can have a genius. You could say Dan Schneider has a genius for words or a genius for writing, but that doesn't mean that if you put me, in some, I don't know, some computer class or whatnot, that I would be able to do anything, because I'd probably be bored silly, and unless you engage with something, you can't operate at your highest level. So the Lifeboat Foundation was a total joke. And I argued with a few people, and I said, "Take me the fuck off your list." And I didn't find out who. I think about 6 months later, I found out from Howard Bloom that he was the guy who recommended me. I said, I think a lot of people, it just sounds impressive to be part of a think tank, but they don't think that they're just as stupid as a lot of people. This is one of the things I've said too, is that when I've argued with people, and people talk here in the US about quote unquote white trash or about poor people being dumb, I say the rich and the powerful are no smarter. I work for a company called American Telephone and Telegraph, or AT&T. It's the largest phone company in the US. And I remember 20 years ago, there was a guy who was the CEO. His name was C. Michael Armstrong. He came from a company called Comcast, which was then a cable company. He knew nothing about the telephone business. Within a year and a half, he was on a golden parachute. They kicked him out of the company because he almost destroyed the company because he didn't know anything about it. And it goes to show you can have someone who might be successful in one area. It does not augur any kind of success in any other area. Because I can write a great sonnet does not mean that I can beat LeBron James one-on-one in basketball. Because LeBron James can beat me in basketball doesn't mean that he could write a Norwegian in the Family.